Avery, whose show is this? And we're live. Welcome, everybody, here to the Lakers Lounge podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin, senior Lakers insider, as well as lead Lakers content creator for Offside. Joined on this fine, well, it is Wednesday now, my time. But joined on this fine Wednesday early morning, late night Pacific time on Tuesday by you guys. I kind of screwed up the schedule. Thought that today was the away game and Thursday was the home game. It is reversed. The Lakers beat the Pelicans at home tonight and are able to, they accomplished their goal of winning these three straight, given their upcoming schedule. So shouts to Sporadic. Glad you can join us live. Thank you, everybody, for joining us live who are able to do so. Please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that like button and then hit that share button as well. All of those things help us. If you guys are listening to us in the morning, also cool. Do so wherever you choose to do so. Just please hit that subscribe button wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Today on the show, we're going to be talking about that game. We're going to break it down somewhat differently here because I've been doing these precaps for Offside just to have a little bit of fun, make them a little bit more evergreen than they are with like your typical just kind of game preview show. And I've been making kind of concrete predictions on it. And every so often, if we get a really good one, we'll come on here and kind of marvel at the good ones. If we get a really bad one, we'll come on here and we'll laugh at me for being really bad at it. Tonight was one of the former, as I got pretty close. Maybe not to the final score. It was a lower scoring than I thought it would. But we kind of arrived at especially the individual statistics. They turned out pretty good. So we'll talk about this game. We'll talk about the turnovers. We'll talk about Austin because his stats recently and his role recently has, I don't know, I would go so far as to say it's been concerning, but it is certainly below the standard that he's been playing all year this year. So I kind of wanted to, pick at that scab a little bit. And then JJ Redick was asked before the game about the Lakers' organized offense. And as usual, he was kind of, he was very Duke-ish in his answer to the question. But I thought, gave an interesting answer to it. And even though he may not want to continue talking about it, I do think the trend of the Lakers going away from disciplined offense is something that the Lakers are going to have to continue to confront, and he's going to have to play an active role in it. So, and then at the end of the show, as we always do, I will answer as many of the questions that I can before I fall asleep live on the air because it is late. But without any further ado, let's talk about this game. The final was 110 to 101 as the Lakers take care of business against a finally fully healthy New Orleans Pelicans team. Look, the Pelicans are 19 and 44, but this team is a hell of a lot more talented than your typical 19 and 44 teams. They have some good young players. They have some good current players, like players that are at or near their primes. If this was the team that they had all year, we wouldn't be talking as much about, them not having their first round pick in this year's draft. Still a stupid thing for Joe Dumars to do, but this team and this assortment of talent is a hell of a lot more impressive than their record would indicate. Bill Parcells' quote notwithstanding. But before the game, I did one of these precaps for Offside, which, by the way, offside.gg is where you could find stuff like this. I broke down that viral video of Luka and JJ kind of getting into it on the sideline. Obviously, doing the post game shows during my commute. Tonight was a little different because I sat at my computer for the game. We've been in the chat room for the Lakers games, and that has been a hell of a lot of fun too. So offside.gg is to find information on how you can join in on all of that fun. But all right, so here I'm going to go ahead and play some, just kind of clip by clip of the of my precap. I'm going to grab some headphones here so that there isn't too much feedback from my mic. So let's do this. And let's do this. All right. Nope, not Dell. Don't want that. Shell. All right, sure. All right, so here is my precap. Time here as the Lakers get ready to take on the New Orleans Pelicans. The Lakers will be mostly at full health. There is some concern about Maxi Kleber's back, so we'll keep an eye on that one. If he isn't ready to go, then JJ Redick would probably just go with Jared Vanderbilt in his spot in that rotation. Whiffed on that because neither Maxi Kleber or Jared Vanderbilt played in this game. Whoops. But the Lakers take on a Pelicans team that has been playing a little bit better since the All-Star break. They are mostly healthy. They should be getting Zion Williamson back. But in a weird twist, that actually kind of sort of helps the Lakers because for whatever reason, since Zion came into the league, LeBron has taken that matchup pretty personally. And if LeBron shows up engaged and disciplined and ready to go for a game, typically speaking, the Lakers also play that same way. So LeBron, look, we could talk about the turnovers and we can talk about some of the lulls over the course of the game, but LeBron took this very seriously. He was playing isolation defense on everybody from Williamson to Sadiq Bey. He was getting out in transition. He was drawing fouls. I thought this is one of LeBron's kind of more engaged games of the season. And for whatever reason, they seem to happen very frequently against Zion Williamson. Here's what I'll say. I think LeBron always took it very personally when they were like, Zion Williamson is the most hyped prospect since LeBron. And then because of the way that we do analysis, you started to get some crazy people saying like, actually, Zion should be more hyped than LeBron. And I think LeBron took some of that seriously. Zion also eventually signed with Nike. And for the most part, when guys sign up for the same shoe companies, it becomes a bit of a fraternity. But there is also some competitiveness there. And when Zion shows up and the league is putting this dude on as many national games as they possibly can, and Nike is rolling out the red carpet for Zion, LeBron's looking at that situation, and I kind of feel like was kind of looking at it and being like, not quite yet, man. Not ready to relent on this one. I'm still Nike's billion dollar guy. And so for whatever reason, whenever the Lakers have played against Zion specifically, and also like the Pelicans, I think LeBron also took games against the Pelicans pretty seriously because of some of the stuff that went on with Anthony Davis at the very end. For whatever reason, or for some of those reasons, and then some probably, LeBron always shows up for these games. Tonight was no different. For this precap, I'm going to go ahead and say that the Lakers wind up winning this game. Check. Not a blowout, maybe check. Not even all that comfortably. I would say it'll probably turn out to be like a 117 to 110 final. All right, so the A team scored 110. It just happened to be the Lakers, and they would be the higher score. But 117 to 110, 7-point difference there. Lakers win by 9. I'm doing all right, I would say. The Lakers take care of business here. They will do so, I believe, behind a strong LeBron James game. Yep. This usually leads to a more balanced output. This is how the Lakers have been playing recently, especially offensively, where LeBron and Luka have been doing a much better job of getting each other and everybody else involved. So I think that plays to the Lakers' benefit. And I would say so. I'd say LeBron finishes with about 24 points.
21.
I'd say about 9 assists and
7.
12 rebounds. I will
Lower than
say Luka finishes with about 27 points
On the
to
money.
go with, 8 assists and 8 rebounds. I say Austin gets
7
a
and
little bit more
10.
involved in the offense here tonight as well. He finishes with about 18 points to
15.
go with a handful of assists and some rebounds as well. 3 assists and 8 rebounds. Well, and I'm going to go ahead and call it. I think Luke Kennard knocks down 3 3-pointers in this game.
He knocked down 2.
This has been kind of trending in that
Shot
direction.
3.
The Lakers are doing or are starting to understand how to utilize him in the offense, doing a lot better job running sets for him and stuff like that. So I think he plays a very key role in a win for the Lakers as they wrap up this kind of soft patch of the schedule. All right. Well, what do you guys think? I think I did all right, right? I think I did. I think for the most part, these things are always kind of tricky because like gambling, you see this oftentimes with like gambling advice pods where they're like, come on in here. We've got all of your calls and your locks and all this stuff. And they always really seem to highlight their big wins and the great calls that they have. And then they never seem to bring up the misses. But yeah, I would say that I did all right here. And like I said, on this occasion, my prediction came out pretty dang good. And on those occasions, which are going to happen, that I completely bungle, I will come on here and I will laugh at them with you. So I kind of want to make this a bit of a game with us on these shows, especially as I kind of go solo, just to kind of break up the monotony of me kind of rambling. I want to make fun of myself a little bit. I want to involve you guys, and then maybe you guys can interact with some of those videos as well. Again, offside.gg is where you can find more of that stuff. But yeah, the Lakers pick up a big win here. And I thought some of the key players for the Lakers overcame themselves. Like I thought Austin continued to play kind of in his head a little bit. I think he's really forcing things and really over penetrating. Just take the midi, turn the corner, get to the elbow, rise up, knock down the mid-range jumper, and allow that to open up the rest of your game. I thought that Luka and LeBron were a little too methodical at times against New Orleans pressure. And I think that oftentimes led to some turnovers. And then they also had some kind of lackadaisical turnovers that come with some lack of discipline there. And yet they were able to overcome that and obviously still really impact the game. I thought the player of the game in this one was probably Jackson Hayes. And if you want to, nominate Marcus Smart, I would be perfectly fine with that as well. And, this is one of those rare occasions. Like, I don't think the Lakers win this game if this isn't the case. But I thought that Jackson played really, really well. But I also thought that DeAndre Ayton in the second half hit some big buckets, even though he was a little extra clumsy in the first half. So, the Lakers, I thought, got just enough from enough guys and were able to take care of business against a Pelicans team that I swear, I know this sounds lame, but a Pelicans team that is significantly better than their record. Now watch this. None of those guys are going to play for like a week. All right, let's talk about the turnovers. Because over the course of the game, especially in the chat, like we were really kind of focused on why do the Lakers turn the ball over as much as they are? Like, what are some of these teams doing to really kind of bother the Lakers? And I do think the teams are doing, they're applying more pressure. They're doing a lot more switching. Deep drop has given the Lakers some problems. And I think sometimes you can press against deep drop and get yourself into problematic situations by way of over penetrating and stuff. But really, like when I watch the Lakers play against pressure, I think a lot of the guys really complicate the game. If you're getting guarded, like if you're closely guarded 50 feet from the basket, 60, 70, 80, 90 feet from the basket, the best thing that you can possibly do is dribble right around your defender and collapse the defense and force them out of that style of defense. And oftentimes, what the Lakers are kind of doing, and what Luka and LeBron and I think Austin to a certain extent as well are doing, is they're kind of like they're trying to goad the pressure and pull the like kind of manipulate the pressure, pull them away from various spots on the court, or bring the pressure to various spots on the court so that you can make whatever pass breaks the defense that way. And I think like you can mix in both of these approaches, but what you really need to do though is like force a team to be honest. And I think the way that you do that, not just from like an X's and O's standpoint, but also from a more kind of human tendency standpoint, is like if a coach tells a player, get up in that guy's jersey, get up, get up, get up, get up, trap that guy, do this, do that, and then that defender gets dribbled around a few times, it doesn't matter how often the coach is telling him to do it. Eventually, the player is going to get sick of being dribbled around, and they're going to back up. Or, the coach might say, blitz, 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 ice, whatever it is, that applies more pressure. And if that pressure doesn't work, eventually the team isn't going to be as committed to that pressure, and you'll see them kind of go away from it a little bit. In the Lakers case, and this is a nth degree example because of the number of turnovers that they committed, but the Lakers, I think, far too often are just completely overcomplicating the game when it's really as simple, I think, as hey, just like go around them, split that trap, whatever it is, just go. Like just go. And then on top of it, I think where the Lakers get themselves into even more troubles is it takes them so long to get into even the sets that JJ Redick is calling. So like all of this, I think is oftentimes a desire to play a lot slower than the defense is kind of forcing you to play. And really what the Lakers need to do is just kind of like speed up, just go, whatever it is, just go. And we'll see if they're able to do that. And I thought tonight, you always watch these games and the hope is, from film session from these games, the lesson taken or one of the lessons taken from this is like just stop with, goading them over here or goading them over here or doing just go. Get downhill, pierce the defense, collapse the defense, kick the ball out to shooters who are more open because the defense is now collapsed, and basically bend the defense to your will on your own. And then eventually you can bend the defense to your will by way of X's and O's and sets and then and stuff like that. But I think it really starts with just kind of breaking pressure on a more individual basis. Speaking of overthinking, boy, Austin was a tough watch for a lot of that game. And I thought there were a couple key moments in this game for Austin. One, the Lakers, I think it was Trey Murphy picked up a tech, and the Lakers sent Austin to the free throw line at a time when he hadn't made a shot to that point in the game. And I, it's an age old cliche, but just seeing the ball go through the hoop, getting to and from on a free throw specifically, right? Where when you shoot a free throw, there's nothing else going on. You can go through your rhythm. It is very much just muscle memory type of shot. You could focus on getting your elbow right, whatever it is that you think you're doing wrong on jumpers that you've missed over the course of the game, you can just kind of correct it. I kind of look at free throws. Like if I go to the driving range and I am not hitting my driver very well, or if I'm just kind of spraying the ball all over the course, um, I usually go back to my 7 iron or my pitching wedge, and I just, just swing that a bunch and just focus on hitting that right. And that club, and every golfer has this, that club is your get right club. And free throws, really frequently for scores, that's their get right club. So Austin goes to the free throw line, knocks down that technical free throw. And then another key moment that came, a few plays later, Austin made a layup or something like that. And then a couple plays later, Austin drives on Bryce McGowan's, I think was who was guarding him, either that or Fears. But Austin kind of like almost turns the corner. The defender kind of cut him off. Austin did that thing where he kind of leans in, draws the contact with the shoulder, creates a little bit of separation with that shoulder, and then knocks down a mid-range jumper. And it was like, finally, he took the mid-range jumper. He needed to see that go down. I think it was off of one leg even, but still, he got that mid-range jumper to go down. And I thought the rest of the game kind of broke in his direction from there. Knocked down a three-pointer. I think knocked down a couple of three-pointers from that point on for the rest of the game. Yeah, he went 2 of 7 from three-point range. Went 5 of 5 from the free throw line. Like, I just think that with Austin, just seeing the ball go through the hoop was really important. But also, and this kind of goes back to the point that I made a second ago about like the Lakers as a team and their approach to breaking pressure. But I think Austin specifically of the Lakers ball handlers, he's the guy between Luka and LeBron and himself who can most frequently pierce the defense. He's very good at getting by guys. And I think, if he's getting a ton of pressure, like has to be some possessions where, while he's trying to zigzag and set up the offense and do all this stuff, every so often, just go, right? Like I remember yelling from the sideline every so often when the teams that I was coaching would get man-to-man pressed, and eventually, like, you know, you get the ball into your point guard's hands, and that point guard is getting guarded, 80 feet from the basket, 90 feet from the basket, and you just kind of look at him and you're like, go. I've done my job. I have removed the trap from you. Now it's your time to be a point guard or to be a guard and be a threat and just go and break that whoever's guarding you off of the dribble. Get downhill. If you can get all the way to the basket, cool. If you can put yourself in a threatening situation that collapses the defense and you can facilitate from there, also cool. But it all starts with, it all starts with go. It all starts with stop overthinking, stop trying to zigzag, stop trying to and one street dribble your way through this. No, just 1-2 moves, go. I know I've already used one analogy on this, but like when or on the show, and I try not to talk too much about myself as like an athlete or whatever, but my dad used to hate it when I started playing club soccer. Um, when I was playing rec, I was kind of faster than all the other kids playing rec. So I would just be able, like, dad told me, like, the big move that he told me to do was just like, just kind of nudge the ball past whoever is in front of you there, and then sprint around them, and you're going to be by them. And that's all that you really need to do. And then when I got to club, you start doing like step overs and all of these things, and you try megging people and you try breaking people's ankles that way. And dad, I remember, I started doing that, and dad just started rubbing his eyes, and he's like, Fred, just go. Stop with, all this nonsense and go. because I didn't have like the step over. That was not in my bag. I was fast, at least fast enough back then, and I was just my job was to go, and I think Austin is like he's very good at getting guys to lean, and once you have that guy leaning, go just get around him and get out and turn that corner. And I think with Austin, simplifying the game, getting downhill when the other team is in a deep drop and he turns the corner on a pick and roll and he gets to that mid-range jumper at the elbow. Don't try to take a couple extra dribbles and get to the free throw line, or don't try to collapse the defense even further. No, you've done your job. You've turned the corner. You've put yourself in a tough spot for the defense to try to deal with. We all know you can hit the mid-range jumper. We all have seen you hit that pull-up jumper from the free throw line or the elbow or the free throw line extended. We've seen you make that shot. Go for it. That's your shot. Keep it easy, keep it simple, stupid, and go. And I think that's going to be something that hopefully he can take away from this game, and hopefully the coaching staff kind of gets and stays on him about just keep the game simple and go. Now, as far as kind of zooming out, I know, I'm sorry, I got it. I've told two stories. I think I'm pretty sure that's it, depending on whatever questions you have for the rest of the game. But I'm done telling stories about my fat ass playing sports back in the day. But anyway, the other thing that I wanted to talk about, this doesn't have anything to do with this game specifically. I only bring it up because JJ was asked about it before the show. But he was asked about organized offense, and it had to do with Luke Kennard and what the Lakers have been able to do recently to get Luke Kennard more involved in the offense. This also led to an exchange, though, with this reporter, I think is Ben Royer, who's the SCNG's new guy. But they, there was a back and forth with this reporter and JJ Redick about organized offense. I think Royer was citing some of Tim's work on kind of recognizing organized offense and charting the percentage of the times that the Lakers freelance versus when they run sets, and the points per possession generated from freelancing compared to running sets and running their organized offense. And it led to a rather like funny exchange, honestly, with JJ and the reporters there. And I'll go ahead and play it and kind of watch it with you guys again. Here we go. So let's see if this works.
JJ, I mean, you've talked about what Luke's added to this team since he's got here, but statistics say that you guys call more plays when he's on the court. What allows a guy like Luke to, when he's on the floor, allow you guys to maybe do some more movement, play calling, and execute like that?
He's a really skilled basketball player. I think it's that simple. That he can move. I think we don't have a ton of movers. It's like when we had that 6-week stretch without Austin. Like Austin's one of our movers. He's one of our thrust guys. He's one of our sort of like blender starters, and so you can call plays that just get the ball moving with Luke out there.
Hey JJ, in a sense, did those clips that spark all that chatter bring you guys closer? In a sense, like you and Luke.
I always am fascinated by that. By the way, hold on. How do you know we're calling plays or not calling plays?
There was it wasn't a stat I found.
Hold on.
Play call rate. I guess someone's looking at when you guys are doing specific.
They know our play calls.
I put it down.
That's interesting. That's really interesting.
Pick and roll.
So, hold on. Because organized offense does not mean you come down the court and call a play call. Like I went to Northwestern USC to watch Chris Collins play, or his team play, and like that to me is like what I think most people think of like organized offense, where like you have 30 seconds and you're going to slow it down and you're going to score 50 points and you're going to like run like a multi option for that's not what the NBA is.
So I agree to a certain extent with what JJ is saying here as far as like what is or is not organized offense. And look, like as he indicates here, the difference between a 30-second shot clock and a 24-second shot clock is huge as far as the amount of time that teams have to set up and run a play. Um I think he's being a little pedantic. I think he's kind of making a point. I don't know that I would go so far as to call it disingenuine, but I would say that like I don't think I don't think that the people covering the sport or are as dumb as JJ Redick considers them to be here. And I don't like it doesn't I don't think Tim is considering only plays that the Lakers bring the ball up the court, player puts a hand up in the air with however many fingers or does whatever like sign language to indicate what play they're going to run. I don't think that is the only definition of organized offense. I think it's to use the old line from Congress. You know it when you see it. You know organized offense when you see it, and more importantly, disorganized offense when you see it. Down the stretch of this game, I thought when the game kind of started slipping a little bit, the Lakers started running, a few too many ISO plays, and you didn't see the ball penetrate the 3-point line, let alone get into the paint. And I thought, like we know what that looks like. And yes, there might be some systemic concepts that would give better spacing for the ISOs being run there. But like this isn't a conversation of pickup basketball and organized basketball. It's never going to be pickup basketball, but I do think within the framework of the team's system, you know, getting player movement on the weak side and getting to multiple options and running the offense or running whatever set or whatever quickly enough to get to multiple options within that set. Like those are all things that we know what it looks like when we see it. And I think the Lakers and this is where I think JJ is being a little cute here. The Lakers also know what it looks like when they run organized offense and when they get away from some of the bad habits that they have built over the course of the season, sometimes by necessity. But we'll go ahead and continue.
And our organized offense is play calling at times, but it's also alignments, formations, and most importantly, spacing. Like having the corners filled, having early pressure on the rim, getting those early seals in transition. I got asked the other day about like the predictability of our offense, like when Austin and Luka come down in early drags, like the predictability of that. That for the season, this was 2 games ago, so I don't know what it is after the last 2 games. That was 1.24 and 1.33 points per possession. So that is organized offense. That is a play. It's an action. Yeah. All right.
So, yeah, I mean, again, I don't think this is an either or kind of a deal. I think there are shades of gray in between here that, that I think even JJ, because we know that he doesn't love being questioned, and we know that he doesn't necessarily love the idea of a media room that might be on to him or anything like that. But I do think though that like the Lakers have done a much better job of getting Luke Kennard more involved in the offense, and that oftentimes involves running sets or staying disciplined within the spacing principles that make up some of the Lakers' system. And one thing that I'm going to be paying very close attention to is, look, it's one thing to be confident enough to go against some of your default settings against a really bad team like the Sacramento Kings or against a really bad team like the Golden State Warriors. Had the Lakers done, continued down that path of not trusting each other, not trusting the ball to move, not injecting energy into the offense by way of ball movement, had they gone away from organized offense and stayed away from organized offense, they lose this game. And I think what I'm going to be paying really close attention to is in those moments when the chips are down or in these matchups that have a little bit more weight to them because it's a playoff team that you're going up against. That's when the Lakers' bad habits have really kind of crept up. And I think that's part of why they have gotten their asses kicked in those games, because in some of them, because of injury or just because of roster makeup, the Lakers are the less talented team. And if you're less talented and also less organized, that's how you get your butt kicked. And I think in these matchups here moving forward, it's the same teams that the Lakers have played already. Like, I don't think there's any good teams that the Lakers will be playing that they haven't played so far this season. It's just now, like, the Lakers have had enough time to hopefully get a few reps with LeBron and Luka and Austin, and they are healthy enough and talented enough as a roster to contend, I think, with some of these teams, but only if they stay disciplined and only if they trust each other and the system. And so, like, even if we don't want to go so far as to call out sets every time down, like you would see in a college game, what I am looking for is something I know what looks like is trust and ball movement and energy and sprinting to spots, setting good hard screens, getting to multiple options throughout the sets that you do run. Like, those are the ways that the Lakers are going to have to, that they can bridge that gap between them and some of their competition. And they're going to have to do that if they're going to win some of the games that, they need to win to prove that they aren't fraudulent. All right, let's go ahead and dive on into some of the questions here. I just see this one right off of the bat. I don't see any supers, so I'm going to start with Robocop 829 asking, did you watch the altercation of Luka and JJ versus the Warriors? Legit tension or in-game competitiveness? I put together a video for Offside. It's on my TikTok. It's on my Twitter. I think it's on Blue Sky too. But I'll go ahead and re-summarize it here. I loved it. Like, I think that, dang it, I said I wasn't going to tell any more stories, but this isn't an athletic story. So, Gotti, this might be a story, but this is a more personal story than it is a former athlete story. But so just so those of you who don't know, just so you do, Jen and I have been together since my senior year of high school. It was back I graduated class of 2004. And so we've been together for 22 years now. And over that time, we've seen friends in relationships get out of relationships, form new relationships, have relationships that stick, all of that stuff. We've seen it all. And one of the things that always is a bit of a red flag for us when we hear somebody who gets into a new relationship say is, we just never fight. We never ever fight. And there's this one couple who had been together for a really long time, and they just kept saying, like, yeah, we just, no fights. Any arguments? Not really. Any productive conversations? No, we pretty much just agree on everything. And it's like, one of you doesn't, right? Like, one of you has a different opinion, and it might vary based on the conversation, but one of you has a different opinion and they're withholding that opinion for the sake of kumbaya, right? And you just, whenever I hear about that couple that has gone 6 months, 8 months, a year, and like I remember one couple was like getting ready to move in together and really take their relationship to the next like steps, plural, and they hadn't fought. And I was like, I didn't, I'm never so confident to tell somebody what to or what not to do in their relationship. But Jen and I definitely had plenty of conversations, basically like, yeah, we'll see how that one goes. And so like this couple, they had never fought, they move in together, and then when they finally did have their first productive conversation, fight, whatever you want to define it as, they broke up. And what basically happened is that like you they never developed the habits to actually communicate with each other, and you never develop the understanding of like, all right, what's my line in this conversation, what's my line in this conflict, and in conflicts moving forward, what kind of tone is necessary to fully suss out whatever subject matter it is at hand, and what do I and my partner need to do so that this can be constructive, this can be productive. And if you never learn that and you never develop those practices with that partner, or even as an adult, as some people never learn it as an adult, you're screwed. And so when I saw that clip of JJ and Luka Doncic, that was just them learning how to communicate with each other. That was them learning what each other's boundaries might be, and what, like, JJ considers confrontational enough that he needs to go back and stand over Luca to actually, like, figure out what they need to talk about here. I'll go ahead and let me see. I'll pull it up really quick. Um just the Yeah, here we go. So I will bring this up to the stage as soon as I can. But like I really enjoyed seeing it because it means that like they're starting to be real. And I know that they've both talked about a relationship that goes back a decade. They've been teammates. They've now, JJ has now coached Luca for over a calendar year. And so, I'm not saying that they're starting at zero. And this kind of thing probably has happened plenty of times before, either in practices or in film room or in games, and it wasn't picked up by cameras. In this case, though, it was picked up by cameras, and you can kind of see it here. Here's the video. You can kind of see, like, LeBron checks in for Luka. Luka is almost forgets to dap up LeBron. Luka wants nothing to do with JJ as he's walking to the sideline. He's walking away from him. JJ makes a point. Luka doesn't like that point. Goes back. Says something again. JJ doesn't like that point. Stands over him. They have that back and forth. Jared Vanderbilt starting to recognize where things are going. Shouts to Vando. Good job, Vando. Vando gets up. Says, hey, bud, move back there. We're good. We're all going to move on. And I think that, like, that is perfectly fine. I had zero problems with that whatsoever. And I, if anything, I outright enjoyed seeing that. Like, we got to look into what the communication structure is with the Lakers, and we got to look into, like, I said this in the video that I recorded for Offside. One of my criticisms of JJ Redick so far this season is that, like, I don't think he has done enough coaching of the superstars. I don't know that he has done enough confronting the superstars this season. And seeing that tells me that, all right, he's got that pitch in his back pocket. He's got that club in his bag. And I what's going to come of it, who knows? We got to see how the rest of the season plays out. But what I will say, and this kind of goes back to the point that I made with the relationship advice that I gave a second ago. What I will say though is for LeBron or for Luka and Redick to arrive at the relationship that the Lakers need them to have together, you need moments like this. And if you never get moments like this, you never arrive at the productive relationship between coach and superstar that the Lakers are frankly going to be built around moving forward while JJ Redick is the head coach and while Luka Doncic is their superstar. But yeah, no, good question. And look, I'm also here for the jokes. Shouts to Vando. Vando did a great job in that spot. And it really sucks that he's been out of the rotation these last few games because, as evidenced by this, does a good job of containing superstars and wings. All right, let me go back into the comments. Let me see if we have any more questions here. So Marshawn, I think Zion initially was with Nike and eventually went to Jordan. I might have that wrong, but I do. And either way, like it makes even more sense if like LeBron is like, oh, fuck that guy, he's with Jordan. But for whatever reason, LeBron takes those matchups really, really seriously. And it's been fun to watch those guys go at it. It's a really fun matchup. It's like a couple of Avengers meeting whenever they guard each other. It's really, really cool. All right, I'm going to go ahead and call it here then. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Again, hit that like button. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that share button. If you guys are listening to this in the pod as a podcast in the morning, hit subscribe wherever it is that you get your podcast, preferably on Odyssey, but everywhere works. And until the next time you guys hear from me, I'm Anthony Irwin saying, have a great rest of your day. Make somebody else's, and I will talk to you tomorrow. I think Harrison is tomorrow. So we'll talk to you tomorrow. Wrong button again. Perfect.